All right, let's go, because you know what I came here to do.
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.
SHAKAN Pitters thought he was hard done by on the scorecards, challenging for Dan AZEEZ's British light heavyweight title. I didn't think he was hard done by. I thought Dan retained his belt with a little to spare. SHAKAN did some good things, tried to catch Dan with that right uppercut as Dan advanced in. That was his best punch, actually, the right uppercut. Dan was out jabbing SHAKAN for too much periods of the fight, and being a 6'6" guy, that shouldn't be happening, but Dan's timing and the way he was stepping across SHAKAN and landing that jab square on, he leaped in with it sometimes, Marvin Hagler-esque, to match the retro Hagler shorts and socks, obviously influenced by Marvin. He threw the harder shots all the way through. He jabbed to the torso early, which I think made SHAKAN a little hesitant to snap his own jab. It was a good fight. The right man won. The champion retained his belt. SHAKAN believes that Dan, being the Sky fighter and he's the Mick Hennessy fighter turning up on the Sky card, had a lot to do with how the judges scored it. But, you know, Dan won the fight. There was some times where it looked like SHAKAN was taking the initiative and he'd give away some of the rounds. A few of the rounds I should say, were swing rounds. Did it go to him or him? But the rounds that Dan won decisively, he won decisively. SHAKAN was swole up around his left eye and around his cheekbone. The referee admonished Dan for illegal usage of the head. And yeah, he was a bit rough with the head. But often what he would do, he would get in the exchange and just leave the top of his head on SHAKAN's chest or shoulder. And yeah, there was damage done by the head. But if you're the taller man, you've got to keep range. You've got to keep range. At times, SHAKAN, when he was getting tired, was leaning into Dan's right uppercut. But Dan AZEEZ's usage of the jab was very good. He didn't show any distress when he got caught by any of the shots. He walked through them. SHAKAN at times looked like he was relying on the referee to do something about the heads, or when it got too rough and he clinched when he should have been punching. Let's see Dan AZEEZ against Craig Richards. That would be good. Let's see Dan AZEEZ against Lyndon Arthur. He's signed to Wasserman right now. There's good fights out there for him. Callum Johnson. Let's see if he can get this Lonsdale belt outright. Or he may go for the European, or try and get an international fight, world honors, world rank, and try and get in the world title picture. Why not? Good fight to watch. Enjoyed it. 117, 112, 113, 115, 111, 117. The 112, 117, 111, 117 seemed an accurate reflection to me. Dan, solid puncher, but definitely not a huge banger at 175. A capable fighter. Be interesting to see what level he can get to, or if he's at his level right now. SHAKAN come up short twice at domestic level now against Craig Richards, where he was knocked out and lost unanimously on points today. Where does he go from here? There's still some good fights out there. We're blessed to have some good light heavyweights out there, and there's some good fights out there for SHAKAN Pitters. It's not over for him. The Liam Smith-WAKINYO fight was strange, man. Liam was getting lit up by them right uppercuts. And was he hurt on a few occasions? It looked like he was. I didn't have the volume on. It looked like he got caught by some big shots at the end of the third, or was it the second? And he looked a little stunned. Didn't look like he had a clue how to avoid the right hand, the right uppercut. And it was a good punch. Liam came forward behind a jab. He tried to double it up and apply steady pressure. And WAKINYO, he slipped. It only went 4. He slipped in one of the rounds, and it looked like he twisted his ankle, and he was still landing some dangerous-looking punches. And then in the fourth, he went down without getting hit. Liam threw about 4 or 5 punches while WAKINYO was on the ground, but nothing said about that. And he went down again without getting hit, and the referee called it off. Very inconclusive finish to the fight. Callum Smith and Johnny Nelson was saying that WAKINYO quit. He was looking for a way out. And looking at it, I can't argue. He didn't seem to be limping from where he hurt his ankle after slipping on the water. He didn't seem to be limping. Liam didn't land anything noticeable before he took the trips to the canvas voluntarily. It looks a bit sus. Not the ideal way for a main event on Sky to end. It's a shame because WAKINYO, looking at his hands, looked like more than a capable opponent for Liam Smith. But his head obviously wasn't right, or maybe there was some other motives for him to just fall to the canvas without getting hit. Have the board suspended his purse until further investigation? I don't know. Perhaps they should. Another inconclusive finish with the FRASER CLARKE versus whoever. Now, Tyson Fury's talking about Usyk being a middleweight. This guy really was a middleweight. He looked like a middleweight compared to FRASER. And there was a body shot that, partially landed. He went down, and then FRASER landed some punches that landed on the gloves and stuff, and he went down again in the first. His opponent was outweighed by 4 stones. How he got in the ring, I don't know. He had a 7-0 record, but FRASER CLARKE ended up apologizing to the audience and the public for the lack of entertainment in that bout. I read somewhere that he called out the matchmakers to do a better job. And he was comparing his career to Anthony Joshua's, how Joshua had the gatekeepers and it was a steady progression of opponents that brought him on. Are the gatekeepers there like they used to be? Perhaps not. After COVID, a lot of boxers have gave up the ghost. They couldn't get fight dates and they've got mouths to feed. And they went elsewhere to get paid. Elsewhere aside from boxing. But it's difficult to matchmake FRASER, what are you going to do? You're going to put him in with fringe world-class guys after he's had, 3 fights or whatever. And then if you undermatch him, you get what you got tonight. The AZEEZ SHAKAN Pittas fight, that was a good fight. It lived up to expectations. It was a entertaining fight. The unsatisfactory endings in the WAKINYO fight, there's nothing Sky could do about that. But they could have vetted FRASER CLARKE's opponent a little better. If you're at an amateur club, or if you're in an international amateur setup, you won't be able to indulge in a whole load of smack talk. The amateur club will throw your ass out. The international setup, like Team GB, will throw your ass out. And that's that. You just go in there and fight. You prepare, go in there and fight. Pros, it's a totally different thing. Now, Frank Warren said the undisputed fight with Usyk probably won't be till next year. I think Bob Arum said something similar. I'm not sure if both of them said it, but from Team Fury, we're talking next year. They're talking next year, yeah? That didn't stop Tyson Fury from lambasting Usyk, saying, why can't you fight December, pussy, or whatever he called him? Saying you got to recover from injuries. Let's go now. Let's go now. And, Fury's there online going back and forth with Manuel Char about fighting him. And apparently Billy Nelson said Tyson Fury's going to go over to Scandinavia to sign a contract to fight Thor from Games of Thrones. So Tyson Fury is all about the place, and he will never let leaving a few minor details, factual details out of a rant get in the way of the rant. He'll never let that happen. Because if Usyk is going to beat Tyson Fury, you're not just going to get a nice big check like you did with AJ, and any resistance against you is not going to be until you get in the ring itself. Because that's what AJ does. He doesn't smack talk. He doesn't trash talk. But Tyson Fury is going to put it on Usyk.
Usyk, middleweight. You say you want the WBC, and it's held by gypsies. It is held by gypsies. It's held by the Gypsy King. And it's held tightly, grasped tight. And all road leads to a 7-foot behemoth that will absolutely destroy you, middleweight. Middleweight, you will get smashed to bits. You say you wanted to fight me after you beat the bodybuilder. Called me out on television. And now you're being a little bitch pussy boy. Running, hiding, saying you've got injuries. You ain't got no injuries. You had a sparring contest. Get out and fight in December. You let your mouth go. Now let's back it up. See if you can back it up, middleweight. Doesn't matter if it's December or April or August next year. The outcome will be the same. I will obliterate you. I'm a 7-foot, 20-stone behemoth, and I will destroy you, middleweight. Find your balls. Come see me. Bitch.
If smack talking was allowed in amateur boxing, this is a hypothetical, we would have to rewrite amateur boxing history. We'd have to rewrite it. A lot of fighters who did well would have become susceptible to the smack talking. A lot of fighters who didn't do well would have been able to get in the heads of fighters who beat them. Body language as well is another factor. Usyk is not only up against a 7-foot behemoth, I think that's what Tyson Fury was trying to say. He's also up against one of boxing's biggest smack talkers. Now, a lot of people probably think smack talking could only potentially affect the person it's being aimed at. But the person actually dishing out the smack talk can actually run the risk of wasting energy, wasting focus, and it can be counterproductive. Let's not forget that. Don't just focus on the fighters who have been successful at smack talking, Muhammad Ali, Mayweather, and Tyson Fury so far, undefeated, former unified champion, current WBC heavyweight champion. Don't just focus on that. If you go through boxing history, just do a little research on your own time on the internet. Just type in the amount of smack talkers who've done a lot of talking and came up short. Is Tyson Fury getting in Usyk's head already? Well, let's look at it now. It's not just Tyson Fury, it's Usyk's trajectory. Being a unified heavyweight champion has way more gravitas than being an undisputed cruiserweight champion. Usyk is seeing way more cameras right now in his face. Everybody wants to hear from the champion who's beat Anthony Joshua twice. The undisputed heavyweight championship is a huge fight. Usyk to me looks like either a very private person or a hugely calculated person. It will literally be impossible not to respond all of what Fury's going to throw to him. Even if the response is minimal, it's going to be literally impossible. Non-smack talking Vladimir Klitschko, even he found that out. Now, let's not get it twisted. Vladimir and Vitaly treated their opponents shitty when they came to Germany to fight and put them in shit hotels and basically bumped them on what purses they were going to get. Yeah? And if Vitaly was fighting, Vladimir would be overseeing the opponent getting their hand wrapped, almost trying to intimidate the opponent, and Vitaly vice versa for Vladimir. But their public persona were that of perfect gentlemen, perfect conduct, role models. But they are way more outgoing than Usyk. Usyk is never going to be the mayor of Ukraine. Never. He's too quirky. He at least gives the impression of being a very introverted individual who likes to shroud himself in this mysterious aura. The Klitschkos, however, Vladimir's wife Hayden was an actress and singer and whatnot. They endorse a load of products when they were boxing. They've been very vocal about the situation with the Russian army in their country. When the Klitschkos found they could monetize from off endorsements around the world, they learned how to speak English very quickly and very well. No interpreters needed. I remember when Vitaly couldn't talk a fucking bar of English. I remember. So the Klitschkos are a little different from Usyk. They're a little different. If AJ had said to Vitaly or Vladimir post-fight, "You're the champ, you're the man, you're this, you're that," they would have accepted it and there wouldn't have been no resistance. Usyk said, no, I don't accept that. I want to stay humble. I don't want my pride to grow. Now, I know some people are going to say AJ does the humble bit. If somebody had praised AJ, he wouldn't have rejected the praise. I mean, that is almost extreme rejection of anything trying to compliment your efforts as a boxer. That's almost extreme. It's also telltale signs he's a control freak. He's trying to control how the public perceive him, especially as more and more people outside of Eastern Europe are getting to know who he is. He's trying to control the narrative. No, I'm not no arrogant boxer, and I'm not going to put pressure on myself that I'm some killer in the ring. He's exerting control, because it is an extreme response to someone complimenting you or praising you. Why are you so bloodthirsty? He had family and friends in the crowd. That's why he didn't knock out AJ. Not trying to control the narrative, no? Some people shout and scream. Some people take a way more psychological approach to stay in control. I told Mr. Bashir that Tyson Fury was in Vladimir's head pre-fight. I've got it on video. I don't know which video it is. I've got a lot of videos with Mr. Bashir. And he was kind of, I'm not sure about that, Beats. And he said, even if he is, it doesn't matter. Vitaly's prepared and he's ready to do what he has to do to retain his belts. At the time I said, yeah, I believe he's in his head, but I still didn't believe he was going to win. And I believed the rematch would have been tougher because Vlad was more prepared for the head games, 100%. Vlad was saying in the build-up to the rematch, he is unpredictable and, he's going to prepare accordingly for the unpredictability. Would it have been enough? Would Vlad have been able to do anything different in the rematch? I believe so. I'm not sure if he would have won, but I believe so. But Usyk might have that weird persona where he could potentially match Tyson Fury or beat him in this head game department. He also tweeted on Tyson Fury, all the fanciful comments against me, he probably thinks it will touch me, but it won't. I take it like a crow arguing with a wolf while sitting there from a tree. The reality is that if the crow were next to the wolf, it would be silent. So he's the wolf and Tyson Fury is the crow. He also said he wants the WBC belt. It's been captured by gypsies, some kind of king. We don't know what Tyson has in his head. He's a very crazy guy. So he's already engaging in more dialogue with an opponent than we've seen in the whole of his career as a pro. Now, I'm not saying it's jaw-dropping smack talk from Usyk, because it isn't. But you don't have to be screaming Dosser, middleweight, bodybuilder like Tyson Fury. All you've got to do is win the head game. You can win the head game perhaps using subtle quotes like what Usyk is using here. He might be embracing a head battle with Tyson Fury. So it's hard to know with Usyk, what do you believe? Yeah, I want to be humble, or Derek, which, everyone laughed at it. It wasn't aggressive. It wasn't trash talking. It wasn't anything like that. But it was gamesmanship. Derek sensed that something was up, and he responded by covering himself in war paint to let Usyk know, I'm not here to be the bridesmaid and pad up your record. I'm here to fight. Dressing up as the Joker is gamesmanship. If he was as humble as he says he is, would he do that? So he's a little passive-aggressive with his head game, perhaps. The promotional face-off with AJ in Saudi Arabia, where he was dancing with the crowd and stuff. What? Wasn't trying to get no psychological advantage? No? I don't believe that. He stole the moment. He stole the show, while AJ was just the onlooker. I don't know if it affected AJ or not. I don't know. But he did steal the moment. Regardless of if it had any impact on the fight or not, he did steal it. Can he defeat Tyson Fury mentally in a way that Tyson Fury isn't expecting? By not necessarily barking with Tyson Fury, but poking his little quirky anecdotes, chipping away at him a little here and there, making people laugh, and start getting more people on his side than Tyson Fury, perhaps. Doing the tricks with the coins in the open workout. Stuff like that. Entertainment. Could Tyson Fury have met his match playing mind games? Tyson already got to one Ukrainian, mentally, in my opinion. Can he get to Usyk? The Ukrainians, they're not unflappable. I see Vasily Lomachenko get a little flustered by Teofimo Lopez. I don't know what Lopez said, but Lomachenko was talking about, when people talk in my country, there are these consequences and this and that. Like, gangster shit can happen. Yeah, got a bit out of character. Let's hope the fight happens and see how all this plays out. And Usyk ain't stupid. He said if the Fury fight don't happen late this year, early next year, whatever, a trilogy with Joshua, he welcomes. He welcomes it. Because Anthony Joshua is still that draw. But Usyk also said he was open to fight Deontay Wilder. I guess he'll take Wilder and Joshua if the Fury fight don't happen. Fury himself said that the AJ fight is still of interest, that people want to see it. So if the Usyk fight don't happen, that's an option for him. Look, they're all draws. People try and say, oh, you're not a draw. They're all draws. Fury, Usyk, AJ, Wilder are the draws in the sport. If you want to make money, these are the guys you have to go see. Now, I'm a Joshua fan, but I believe I keep it real. And the truth is, a third AJ fight on the trot, no. The reason why is boxers fight a lot less frequently these days. People want to see a new opponent. At least fight Fury first and then maybe look at the AJ trilogy down the line. Fight Fury or someone else. Fight someone else. If Fury is not ready till summer next year, let's say winter next year, whenever, fight someone else in the meantime and get ready. I don't think the public, generally, unless they're AJ fans, will want to see that third fight right now. I really don't. A third Wilder Fury fight was always going to run the risk of overkill. The fight turned out to be a really good fight, but initially nobody wanted to see a third fight. People wanted to see Dillian get a shot, or they wanted to see Fury fight AJ for undisputed. That's what they wanted to see. I like Dillian, but when he did get his shot against Fury, he didn't turn up. But these guys have to mix it up against different opponents. When you look at the fighters who have held belts in the last 3 or 4 years, like the COVID and the lockdowns has had a bearing on the stats, but Andy Ruiz won the title in 2019, defended in 2019 and lost the belts. And since then, he fought once in 2021, missed out the whole of 2020, and he's going to have a fight in 2022. 2 fights in, 3 years? Deontay Wilder fought twice in 2019, lost his belts to Tyson Fury in 2020, tried to reclaim them in 2021. When he fights Helenius this year, that'll be 3 fights in 3 years. Usyk, it's quite amazing how he keeps such form in the ring, because he hasn't had 2 fights in a year since 2018 when he was at Cruiser. He fought once in 2019 against Chaz Witherspoon, once in 2020 against Derek Chisora, once in 2021 taking Anthony Joshua's belts, once in 2022 defending against Joshua. 3 bouts in 3 years. And he says he wants the rest of 2022 off to stay with his family. Tyson Fury. In 2020, he took the belts of Deontay Wilder, defended him against Deontay Wilder in 2021, and defended against his mandatory Dillian in 2022. 1 fight a year. They've all been on 1 fight a year for the last 3 or 4 years. So multiple 4-fight series between Fury and Wilder is not really a good look. A third AJ Usyk fight, not really a good look. Now we can hope that the title holders and top contenders have more than 1 fight a year going into 2023. But until then, they're going to have to vary up their opponents, and there can't be too many filler fights. There really can't. $75 minus 1 cent on Fox is the price for the Andy Ruiz Luis Ortiz pay-per-view. They're outsourcing it to other territories, probably $20 in the UK, maybe $25, I don't know, on Fight. What happened to the days when networks like, not networks, but the PBC would do deals with the likes of Sky and have the cards on there? What happened to them days? The promotion has almost been sabotaged by the PBC because they've had Wilder and Shelley Finkel recently having several interviews or articles where they're talking about Anthony Joshua, either criticizing him in Wilder's case, or Shelley Finkel putting it out there that they want Wilder to fight Anthony Joshua, but according to Eddie Hearn, he's tried to make contact with Shelley and has got no response. So it's a bit strange, and Wilder's fighting Robert Helenius soon, and it looks like this bout has been overshadowed by all of that. It's an interesting fight though. Andy Ruiz must be the only boxer who can come in at 268 and still looks in better shape than we've ever seen him. He's done whatever he's done to rid himself of a lot of body fat around the chest and stomach, as you can see in the picture. Speculation has led to suspicions of PD usage, or maybe cosmetic surgery. I don't know. Ortiz came in at a predictable 145 and doesn't look any different than we've seen him in the past. And he's got popped for performance-enhancing substances in the past. I have no reason to suspect Andy Ruiz of anything. No reason at all. I'm just saying what's being put out there. As long as whatever he's doing is not just a cosmetic procedure, whatever changes to his body that he's made has to enhance his performance. He himself said it's not a bodybuilding contest. I was curious to know why this card is falling on a Sunday as opposed to Saturday. Are they trying to pick up some of the traffic from a football game or basketball game or something like that? Is that the only available slot that Fox had for the PBC? Or is this a new thing, PBC boxing on Sunday?
I don't get paid for overtime. I'm here to fight.